Dan ist auch vielleicht auf Tour, oder?
I don't know neither.
Dan gehört zum
Proposing
Kryptosparbuch.
anybody
Dan hat
anything.
den Namen
I'm just saying,
Kryptosparbuch
if it's really
ausgedacht.
low, you might want to go into it. Don't buy the tops. And don't be like...
Seine Lieblingsfarbe ist
Don't be
reflektieren.
trustful in any of adding assets. Be diversified. I mean, you have to build a system. It's incredibly complex in how many tokens you build. So I feel like you have a lot of different opportunities. You have to take this one.
I think that trust in some, if they have verified source and verified burned LP, you can't have like trust and expectations.
No, I trust it. I trust the burned LP.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if we move beyond the non-trust and trustless to like defining something that like is trustable, then that's really good.
I feel you, because I mean that's one of the biggest issues out there in the whole space. Is like that. What creates a community, in my opinion, as a sociological thing, is a common interest, common values, and trust. Now, crypto is not that thing for most people, you know? Because, like, if you come in there with a space and you have millions of dollars in comparison to somebody who's just coming in there trying to improve their life, mostly what happens in the crypto space, the rich guy is going to take the money of the poor guy who has less time, less patience, less infos, and it's going to get richer.
Yeah.
So who does it help? In my opinion, that's not helping anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
And that's why I'm down with what you're building, because I don't think that's your idea behind this whole thing, from what I've been looking at.
I'm trying to make it impossible.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And that's really what I appreciate. That's why I told you earlier, I appreciate what you're building, because I'm not a financial dude who's just investing money to get rich. There's something behind this. It's called like, let's fucking change something positive in this world.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just saying your different layers that you have been building with BFF, no news, ETC, and so on, now with all the TM system and the cap and trade. I just consider very interesting what you're doing. Is sometimes an experiment, or is everything that you're doing algorithmically back?
So it's like it's progressive. So like right now, my goal is communique and language. So this piano structure, the like interface for engaging the token to program it. The goal of defining that the token is capable of language. So if the token can store symbols and attach those symbols to addresses and can do crazy shit along connected interfaces with those token addresses that are of the same capability structure, then like the tokens literally can have like a language internal to the blockchain where they're doing things and communicating things to each other, and the difference between how a layer 1 operates right now with like you have a token and it has a balance and maybe it has some stuff going on, but it doesn't have a life of its own.
No.
Yeah.
It's just copy paste.
But if you give the token a life of its own, it's a whole new game.
Yeah.
Literally, like
It is a new
you
game.
put game in it, like
The MUD game, no? A mod
any
game?
kind, like
I'm excited for that one, to be honest, about the gaming thing, because I looked into MUD games.
Yeah.
I'm an 80s kid, so I was like, I didn't really grow up with that, but kind of, and then looked into it, and I was like, wow, that's insane. It's like roleplay. I was really deep into roleplay when I was a teenager, you know, like Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff. So I saw the idea of an MUD game, and I was like, this stuff can be really fun. It's a whole world based on text, like based on just language. I did not know that it existed before I actually looked into it.
so if you think of to start with, like each token is going to be its own little chat log. And at the beginning, you'll be able to go from token to token any way you want and like say, watch all the chat logs at once. But later on, after you're not an apparition, but you're actually like a character within the blockchain, the moving from one token to another, you're not supposed to be able to communicate on this former token anymore.
Because the connections aren't there anymore.
Right. So that's a really hard thing to figure out thus far. I don't have that part figured out. Like,
But you have to look at it progressively how it works.
How do you move from one room to another and only have chat in the new token room?
I'm impressed.
If it's just a minute, you can watch the emits mini token. Like, there's ways to do it. But making them cohesive in one token structure within the stack size is technology. It's hard.
Yeah, because you're also limited, obviously, on size.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a problem with the optimization, but we'll see.
I'm happy to hear what you're saying. And the whole progressiveness was one thing I just claimed. I wasn't sure about it. I was like, probably he has to do this partially as an experiment because the reaction of the market and the adoption of people and how they interact with it is really hard to foretell. It is hard to foretell.
Yeah. Well,
do you see game theory as the only theory you're using for this? I can't imagine, no?
So the only theory that I'm using so far, I'm not using any theory, honestly. For the tokens that are supposed to succeed, they're supposed to succeed initially based on how the very first robots are going to buy into it. And after that, they're supposed to succeed based on the holding patterns. And there's a demonstration of every holding pattern that I can think of so far already in the ATROPA ecosystem.
And there's always going to be further development. So to say, there's an open end of layers.
There are dead ends. If I run out of stack space and I can't make it smaller, that's a dead end. Like for all of that. Yeah, there's a few. But growth-wise, like number go up-wise, the ATROPA part, which I'm separating now from the dysnomia part, which is this new like living thing. The ATROPA part's more or less like complete.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna grow. It's code-wise, it's unstoppable. Like we've hit all the exploits. There's no surprises.
No, the functions are known now. I feel like at all of the major tokens, the functions are known.
Yeah.
The utility is known.
And so, I don't know. Like if say the whole dysnomia part doesn't work out, like I don't succeed, the ATROPA part's gonna win. Like that'll be great. And if the other side wins, then it's crazy because I'm gonna do something completely different. Like they're not gonna have burned LPs over here; they're gonna have burned buy-ins.
All right.
Yeah. And so the whole concept is different. Like no one's done anything like that before.
No, I mean honestly, I also never have seen any liquidity web like you have built it before you have done this anyway. Like the whole system for me was something that I was looking into early when it came out. And I'm not a 10 years crypto guy. You know, I started literally like 3 years ago or something, 4 years ago. But what I realized when I saw that, it was like, this is something completely different. Like this is RH law taking like exponentially, so to say, do a 2 on it or a 4 on it, because I mean there's 4 tokens with RH, but what you've been building is the idea behind it without an OA and burned liquidity. I was like, this stuff is really like new and unexploitable, and that's exactly what I like about it.
Yeah.
Mostly the biggest problem is VCs and people dumping on people. That's all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So if that can't happen, then I'm gonna get all the investors like me. And even if I didn't, the P stables are gonna make it.
Yeah.
And so like it's just from every angle. Like,
about dysnomia now. Alright, we talked about it. Dysnomia is layer 2 of ATROPA, kind of. Is it really layer 2? So
it's a mixed thing. So the initial operations of the layer, it's going to be on both, but the initial operations on the layer 2 are going to be based off of emit messages for events within the tokens.
Okay.
And so all these events, emit messages that are occurring within transactions on the tokens are going to produce data for the layer 2 client to like follow along and track.
All right.
And so initially, if it's a chat log client and it's following chat lines on these various tokens, and then the tokens are made to moderate each other so that you can say chat into here or chat into here, and they maybe aggregate to a certain point, but then some others don't aggregate.
Okay.
If I can get all that working, and then lock it down with the room-to-room structure where you can move, then the only thing to add after that is player profiles, combat, and you have game.
Oh, that's exciting. It is really exciting.
Like it's not that many pieces. The hard part was getting the token on. The hard part was figuring out to do the emit messages.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I was trying to build it separate and have all the chats separate. And if the chat's like on the blockchain but not like permanent. Like the data comes in through the transaction, but it's not stored on token. It's only emitted in the message. Then I'm not adding a huge amount of like pollution data.
That's what I was thinking, just because you're building up a lot of data if you wouldn't.
And the gas prices stay low because when you do stuff on the token, it doesn't have to modify.
You're not using that much block space in the end.
Right. Yeah. And so it just works out way better. Yeah.
I also don't want to be the only guy who's, I mean, I know you, Mars. You have also a couple of questions from other people. I'm just asking my personal stuff right now because I never met you. And I was like, I've seen his Zurich stuff. He's a good friend of mine. I was like, God, I really would like to ask my own questions, but I've not been there. I know there's other people also in our community that are really interested in hearing your voice about other opinions, other questions. I don't know how many you have of you, but there was a couple of really good ones too. I mean, we're all kind of from the same bubble, from the German bubble. Do me a favor, a second, hold that. That would be great. Thanks, dude. All right, first one. Are you happy with the development of ATROPA itself and its progress?
We've met all goals that I've set so far.
All right, that's an easy one. All right, this next one to the goals. Did you hit them?
Yeah.
Do you follow any of the influencers, content creators that talk about ATROPA?
I don't think so.
All right.
Not yet.
All right.
No. I've looked at. I glance every once in a while. I haven't watched anybody's commentary full the way through. Basically, I'll look and make sure everything's positive enough, and then that's fine for me.
I'll be honest with you.
If you post something that's not positive enough, you're gonna have to fix it.
You're gonna talk the truth, so to say. No? Because you also don't want stuff being spread about you that's not about you, but about your system that is not.
Well, I don't care really. Like, if you want to be as negative as possible,
Fought it out.
like, yeah, just like talk shit. Like, that's fine. You might find something that is legitimately like fixable or is legitimately addressable.
All right, keep it to the next one. Is it true that ATROPA originally was programmed for ETH and it didn't work on there?
No.
No. There was no trial at all.
Zero.
All right, that's what I thought too, but the question is there. All right. How does ATROPA is best, I have to translate it in the same time, supported for people with smaller bags? So to say, what does ATROPA support, or which parts of ATROPA support smaller bags? Is it the main tokens? Is it other layers?
It's the ATROPA token specifically.
All right.
Because the P stables, in my opinion, are the best investment you can make right now.
Yeah.
But the ATROPA token is going to do better than any of them. And so it's better to invest in the ATROPA token. There are tokens with smaller FDV that if you want to jump into as like a major owner, you're possibly going to get a lot more return out of for your like bang for your buck. But overall, like buy in and wait and price just creep up, like ATROPA is gonna win.
All right, another one. You know, there's math from Sunny, but there's also math, which is from you. What is math? What is the purpose of math?
Oh, that one.
M-A-T-H?
Oh, math? It's got a random function in it.
All right.
Yeah, so the random function that's on the libmath token will it will be used in the constructor of all the new tokens for the dysnomia ecosystem.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're in... Oh, no, here we go. Do you think about enhancing or going to other blockchains with ATROPA after having achieved it in Pulsechain?
I don't know if it's necessary. If ETH prices, gas prices go down, I could move it to ETH. But honestly, I think it's cooler if the tokens get bridged from Pulsechain.
No, feel it.
Because bridging living tokens from Pulsechain over to ETH puts a pulse inside ETH. Like it's like a covert operation kind of.
Like a Trojan horse kind of?
Right, yeah. And so if, to me, there's a better value in being Trojan horse into ETH than there is in deploying on another blockchain. And no other blockchain is going to have the stabilizing promise. So yeah, I don't think that it'll be bridged from Pulsechain, but that'll probably be it.
All right. Yeah, that's already answered the question about the second one I'm seeing here. Is the idea of ATROPA to be a decentralized financial system? Do you think it's going to be built in years or in decades?
Can you read that one again?
Okay. Is ATROPA a decentralized financial system? Is it going to be achieved through a couple of years or decades? Like, do you think that the goals that you're trying to build are like long-term, like we're talking decades, or they're more like short-term years?
I think it's already done.
So it's not like you need another 10 years to build this or to achieve it.
Like
it's more like it's on its way.
The achievement that I had in mind for all of the ATROPA ecosystem is complete.
All right.
Yeah. It's like it's in place. I've done the audit through twice now. I've reduced all of the bags that I wanted to reduce. There will be a third audit with smaller reductions. But for the most part, it's all there now already. Like there's not more.
There's not more
achievement on it.
No, I feel you. I thought the same thing, but some people are like they want a timestamp on it, so to say. It's easier for them to imagine because it's a lot of people are really doubtful how quick this could work out, or how so to say how founded already it is, or if you're trying to build something that's like going on for a long time. And I feel you just answered that. You already have done the math, you have done the construction. Now it's just keeping to the plan and let it happen.
Right.
All right. One really practical one: liquidity pairs. Which liquidity pairs you think would help to stabilize and help the system? Like, what should people?
Additional ones?
Additional ones and also existing ones.
I don't think any more is necessarily like needed. It's everything in place now is pretty good. As far as the way that I've thus far approached liquidity, the dysnomia part, the buy-in, is gonna replace what in ATROPA was burned liquidity. So the burned buy-ins and how those evolve over time. It's just going to be something new.
Yeah, I don't know any burn buy-ins.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's not
at all.
Yeah.
It's something completely new to me too.
Right. So the affection token is the main one. It's the A in a circle.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've honestly got into it already.
Okay. And so the balance of that token is going to grow to 1 billion, the same as ATROPA. But because of this burn buy-in idea, the buy-in to the affection token is limited, and that's the source is verified. You can see what it's limited to. But those 1 billion tokens will be the initial only way to buy in for all of these new tokens. And so it's like buying arcade. Yeah, the idea is like you buy the Affection arcade tokens, and then you're deciding
where to put them
along.
All right, because you can't get more, so it's kind of like once you spend them, that's what it is.
Right. And because there's no initial LPs, there's no initial value to these tokens at all. The way that you spend your Affection tokens and the way that LPs build after those tokens are spent, it's gonna build out a new ecosystem until the Affection bottlenecks, and then the new ecosystem will blow up.
Yeah, I feel you, because obviously with a burn buy-in now, that's something complete. It's really like throwing a coin into an arcade machine. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I get you.
And after a while, the Affection tokens will have improved in value. So first they're going to run out of mintable supply. They're going to cap out at 1 billion, which I think right now they're probably at like 300,000.
Yeah, so we're far off.
If I'm guessing. So by the time they get from 300,000 where they are now to 1 billion total supply, the additional tokens that will have been created, a certain portion of that will already have been spent into those, and that'll be burned from the Affection supply. And so the Affection supply then will dwindle because it's been burned off.
It's extremely deflationary, obviously.
Yeah. And the remaining supply of Affection will become more and more expensive.
Scarcer and scarcer.
Yeah. And because these other tokens that are only buy-inable by this token that's growing and growing,
I think I drove past it. Yeah, so
it's just going to be enigmatic.
It's a glitch.
I've stayed with them. I was here years ago. Yeah, very flat.
It's reliant entirely upon community involvement.
I saw a couple windmills.
If, for example, like the problem, if this token is buy-inable by something that gets burned, and the entire supply,
Nicholas, lovely to meet you.
therefore it gets
I'm glad you made it.
distributed out, become, I don't know, it's like if no LP is created, then it's just burned. And people have these tokens, and they have a sense that they have value because they paid for them. But they're more like collectibles at that point. But they're not like NFT collectibles because they all have to have the same value. You can't just sell
it's
one.
not like one that's like you're beautiful and I'm gonna pay $1 million for it, and the other one 10K.
Right.
I get you. It's all the same
Like
value.
the reality of what will occur after the Affection supply starts dwindling and the price goes up on them, I don't necessarily know. It could be weird, especially if no additional LP is burned.
You should be here in a little bit.
But it's like, it's a matter of driving it over time and seeing just how those values grow.
Now the cap and trade system. I'm personally going to ask that one. It's not a question of that one. Cap and trade means you're using something that's already existing as a brand, so to say, and you copy the identity and take the value, kind of like, and see how people act on it. What is cap and trade?
So cap and trade specifically when you're doing any kind of exchange or purchase or sell. There's essentially like hooks. There's a hook where it's an option. There's a hook where it's a future. There's a hook where it's other things. The cap and climate system is based on when it runs out of minting.
Okay.
So this token that's within the cap and trade system, it mints up to a certain point, and then instead of minting itself, it'll actually mint the next token. So the next token mints that much faster than it was already minting. And as this like new ecosystem builds out, and
That's very organic.
they're minting each other, and they're minting possibly to each other, and the buy-in marketplace is maybe burning most tokens, but maybe also making other tokens available for fixed price sale. The way that the Dysnomia system is going to pair against the PulseX system it's gonna drive traffic because there will just be price disparities.
There's going to be arbitrage possibilities.
Yeah. So you'll have these bots and persons that are buying in through the dysnomia system and just like straight up dumping on PulseX. And that's what I want to see.
Mr. Scammer.
Okay. Because the theory, if you have a token that has like a fixed supply to start, and someone ends up as like mass holder, they now have a lot of power. Right?
They're whale.
But if this token's mint supply grows organically and no one ever becomes
The majority holder.
and the buy-in structure through dysnomia is pairing against the LP structure that always has a higher price. The power all goes to the person who's brand new. Right.
Not to the one that hold it from the beginning.
Because the person who's already been in it for a while, they're bored now about making $5 at a time.
Yeah.
But the new person, they're not bored at all by making $5 at a time. And so the idea is to set that system.
Another quick question. Why the name ATROPA? ATROPA belladonna. It's a psychedelic and it's a plant that has been used thousands of years in humankind. Why did you choose that name?
So fate-wise, when I had 5 billion worth of P stables, if I hold on to that, fate-wise, no one's ever going to fill the order. It's never going to be done. Just because I hold 5 billion of it is just not going to happen. And so the idea was, because that fate is sealed, make a new one and make it so that it's above the bar for success. And so by burning the liquidity, it set up like a time span where like operated a loss, but then no longer at a loss, and then far beyond loss. And so I made those calculations and I set up what I thought was fair, and it worked. So in terms of fate specifically, if the P stables and the Pulsechain are successful, then the ATROPA as a fate of the system is also successful. Whereas if the P stables fail, then in my opinion the whole system is going to fail, and so my part is going to fail. That's what
So that's the key engine still. The key engine is to get the pack going, to be able to create the other outcomes that you have mathematically.
It was about specifically making a statement about my position after acquiring 5 billion of the stables.
A lot of people only talk P-DAI. They don't understand it's stables in plural, but we obviously know what we're talking about. All right, I give you another question out of the audience, what we have here. How do you see the development or future development of Pulsechain in case that ATROPA doesn't work?
It's already worked.
No, they're asking. They don't understand.
They can't fail at this point. Yeah. There's no way to break it. Like,
There's no way to create no return. There's no way of returning.
Like P stables could fail. But Teddy Bear might still succeed.
I'm agreeing. It's why you have several strains happening. I thought that too. It's like betting on several horses to go to the same goal. No?
Right. Yeah. So I tried to cover all of the horses.
Good idea. Yeah. I mean, that's why how you can't really fail if you have all options covered.
Right.
He asked if you're an inhabitant of this planet, if you always have been an inhabitant of this planet.
We can skip that one.
All right. All right, we're through with the questions of our Telegram chat. No, I mean, we have more questions right there. We definitely have. We got the BFF thing happening for a while now. What is your opinion right there? Is this a community effort that should happen so you can prove the mindset behind the community too? So it's not just speculation?
So the idea is, say you're going to drop $8,000 on a prostitute. So if you're in that market anyway, and there's any potential of making money, you might as well drop $8,000 into that potential for making money if it's above the prostitution bar. So I tried to eye what's the prostitution bar, and the concept basically is like if you can get an initial distribution of people that bought in at whatever amount, but we're aiming to get out at 8K. The people that are coming in, the idea is even if you're buying at 3K, 4K, 5K, you're really buying an 8K token, and so you're just getting it cheap. And so as the number goes up and we plateau at 8K, the buy-ins at 8K will be paying off everybody that wants to get out at that level.
Yeah, just the people that are speculating on it, just try to front run it and get the 8K, get a 2x, 4x, whatever.
Until it doesn't go down anymore.
It builds a stable floor.
Yeah, and so the idea is we get it up to that level, and then concentrate on disintegrating my large bag by placing burned LPs while not dropping the price below 8K. And so even if I say hold like 200 of the tokens and it goes up to say 8.5 and I sell one token and it drops to 8 and then I place one more token and burned liquidity with whatever I just bought. So I've brought the price down and it's gone into my bag, but by burning it, it's effectively like cementing that 8K level.
It's creating a stable floor. I mean, that's what I'm really impressed with your burning. Like,
as more people then come in at that specific price, while we're only burning the LP to maintain that specific price, eventually we're going to run out of LP to burn, and then that'll go up.
Scarcity, I get it.
And the secondary function of having the LP widely distributed is we haven't seen it. We don't necessarily know what it's going to do. But I am of the opinion it's going to be a better LP strategy than any other single LP strategy that we've approached. Yeah.
Because you're adding that much burned liquidity at a time that it's not happening in most ATROPA coins. So to say you have a goal that is already, so to say, spoken of, and if the community reaches it,
well,
you're going to do it pretty much overnight, no?
It's not really entirely that.
All right.
It's more, so there's two other tokens, the Independence token and the Stay token, that they're arranged in the same way.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah.
But those were not sold the same way to bring these early investors the 8K profit on whatever they wanted.
Yeah, you didn't put a target on it.
Right. And so they didn't have the goal to like deliver those early investors big chunks.
She's by far the most under. Like I did that list of underrated accounts.
Might or might not be a better strategy. But the three strategies being different, it's sort of like the whole how you cover all the horses.
No, I got you. That's the whole idea what I meant with the social experiment. Right. I said that to people. For me, this is kind of a social experiment sometimes because you can't know which strategy is always going to work out well. So you're doing kind of all of them at the same time to see what's happening.
And having 3 of them now, there's a good chance we're going to see some of the activity that I anticipate. And if we do, then it's going to sell those 3 tokens as a successful, positive endeavor.
Yep.
And then we'll see that activity on BFF that we'll see.
I think all of these horses can be successful. No, you don't need one horse necessarily as the only winner because all of these ideas can be potentially successful.
Yeah, it's different from a horse race because like the horses are drafting each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so if the